don't know if you knew that or not.
No.
And we got married in Scotland on a bicycle trip. So cycling was a big part of our life. And when we used to go to Arizona, we would take our bicycles, fly to the airport, then you take your bicycle out of the box, put it back together again, right away, and then all we needed was food and fuel, and we would cycle for 2 weeks in Arizona and just camp wherever, either at campgrounds or sometimes you find state ground and you just go off and set up your tent and camp.
You did that in Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've been going to Arizona for over 20 years, and we fell in love with it, and we both said that when we retire, we're going to be snowbirds in Arizona. So cycling was a big part of our life. So we were at what they call the Tandem Rally in Wisconsin. That's where everybody that rides tandems gets together and just have rides and have a good time. Well, Scott was there with another person.
You guys met in Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he said something about Lansing. Well, he went to law school at Coolidge, which is in Lansing, Michigan, and his girlfriend, Maggie, was in Lansing.
Okay.
So at one of the break stations, and you know, you meet when you're riding down the road and you get chances, you know, talk and BS and blah, 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 you know. And so at the next one of the break stations, I wrote down my name and number and walked over to him and handed it to him. So a while goes by and I get this phone call and it's Scott. And he goes, you want to go for a ride? And his biggest problem was finding captains. So, okay. So I had a Cannondale at the time. And so we went out on the Cannondale and rode around. And he's a good rider, strong rider. So we go out and ride around. And he gets to talking to me. He goes, how far have you ridden a bicycle? I said, oh, I don't know. At the time, you know, one time, I said, I don't know, 137, 135 miles, something like that.
Okay.
And he goes, well, you think you can go further? Well, I go, I don't know. I suppose I could, you know. Hadn't really thought about it. So he talks me into riding across Michigan. So you ride from, what is it? There's a campground there at north of Grand Rapids. What is this? Not South Haven. It's north of that. I forget where it is. Yeah, you start there and you ride over to Bay City, across Michigan. It's only like, what is it, 180 miles, 175 miles, something like that.
Okay. So only 50 miles longer than you've already gone.
Yeah. So we get on the bike and off we go. And his girlfriend and my wife, they sag. Sag is the support vehicle, and they kind of leapfrog us. Okay, that's fine. So I did that. And he goes, well, you want to go further? There's this race in France. It's called PVP, and you race from Paris to Brest and back again. And he had tried it twice.
Okay.
Failed both times. Because normally on a tandem, when you ride a tandem, like you and I were on a tandem, we would take turns. You would steer for a while, and I would be in the back. And then I would steer for a while, and you would be in the back. We trade off, because when you're in the front, you can't put your head down like this. You always have to hold your head up like this. Really, really works on your neck muscles. Plus you got a helmet, a headlight.
So everything's pushing.
Everything's pushing down. You really, really have to be strong to go 1,200 kilometers driving it, because the bike is heavier, because you got an extra person. So even steering it and moving it takes more force. It's just more work.
We had a tandem, an old Schwinn tandem, went as kids, middle school kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And me and my best friend, that thing was like a car that we had because there's two of us, you know, so.
Off you go.
Off it.
Yeah.
Oh, we can ride this? And we can ride our bikes? Oh, let's go. So, you're right. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. So that race was a tandem.
We were on a tandem because he's flying.
Okay.
So he's behind me.
Okay. You can't drive.
No.
Okay. Right.
Well, like he says, without the stroker screaming a lot. So anyway, he gets to talking about this race, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I said, if we're going to do this race, we got to do it right. I said, I'm not going to do a half-ass attempt.
So who did he do it with before?
Another guy.
Okay.
Another guy from Wisconsin.
And they did not finish?
They did not finish.
Same guy both times?
Mm-hmm.
How did you meet this guy again? The guy
On a bike ride.
On a bike ride?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He went blind later on?
He was 13 or 14. There's a good story with that, too. He was 13 or 14. And there's a part of that, too, that tie in later. So anyway, I told him, I says, because you're looking at it, and this race, you have 90 hours to finish it.
Okay. No dilly-dallying.
Once you roll, the clock starts. You can stop, take a nap, do whatever you want, eat ice cream, eat bonbons, but the clock's running. So it's a great race. It will teach you so much about yourself as a person. It's management of your time, making sure you're fed and watered, because we're like a steam engine.
Mm-hmm.
We need fuel, we need water. And the simplest things screw people up. The littlest, simplest things. It's amazing. There was one couple, they left the time station, and of course the route, you go out one way on the road, and then you hit the end of it, and then you turn around and you come back. So there's literally bikers going both ways up and down the road. So you have to pay attention, especially at night, because France doesn't have any street lights. I mean, they're non-existent. Some of these small villages.
It's rural.
Yeah, this is rural.
You get outside of Paris and it's country.
It's country, yeah.
Okay.
So they went the wrong way.
Like the wrong road?
No, the wrong way. So riders were going this way, riders were going that way. When they left the time station, instead of going to Paris or to Brest, they went the opposite way. They didn't realize it till they got back to the next time station. By then, they're out of time. They can't make it up. Just by making a wrong move like that.
Okay, to double back.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it costs a lot of money. You got to fly your bike over there. I mean, there's a lot of preparation just to get there. It takes 2 years to qualify for it. Look it up on the internet. It's kind of interesting.
What do you have to do to qualify?
You have to do these races. You have to do a 200. What is it? 200? Yeah, a 200, a 300, 400, and a 600. And those are timed races, and they take place here in the States on a course that's laid out, that somebody's laid it out, and they have time stations.
A road course?
It's a road course.
Okay.
And so you do that ride, and you do it in a certain length of time, and then once you do the 200 and you're good, then you can do the 300, you're good, and once you get 2 of those done, in other words, 2 years in a row, then France will let you in the race. And plus the doctors, you gotta have a doctor's paper.
Okay, so you and this guy, what's his name?
Scott.
You and Scott did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So in order to build it,
while you and your wife were dating and
we were married.
you were married that one already. Okay.
So, I know I got this story all screwed up. I mean, round and round and all this other kind of stuff.
That's okay. I gotcha.
So, I said we have to build a bike. I'm not riding on a piece of shit. Well, no, because I've broken every single thing on a bicycle.
Okay.
Everything. A pedal, the crank, the seats, a fork. I've broken a Cannondale frame, me and Scott together. That's power. We could, at a stoplight, sprint to 40 mile an hour. We got stopped one time in Lansing. We're going down this hill. What road is? It's a nice hill, nice, long, straight hill. And see, oh yeah,
40 on it.
there was a snowboard, not a snowboarder, a skateboarder in front of us.
Okay.
And he was hauled. And he was down in that position, the hand behind and all this other kind of stuff. And I would tell him to Scott, I says, we got a snowboarder, right? He's trying to stay ahead of us. Oh, we got this, he goes. And so we, flip on the afterburners and off we go. We go past him and we go through a speed trap. It's a 35 mile an hour zone. We're doing 46. He stops us. Comes up to me and he looks at me and he goes, looks at Scott. He goes, you guys look like you know what you're doing. I said, well, we're learning. Yeah, right, he goes. You know how fast you was going back there? I says, well, it was under 50. I says, because it's really hard to hit 50. I said, somewhere around 45. He says, 46!
That's crazy. That's moving.
Oh, yeah. And
So you guys built a bicycle.
so I told him, I says, I'm not, I said, we're gonna have a bike build. So we had a custom bike build, and we knew we were gonna do PVP with it,
Okay.
and we designed it for comfort. It was fast enough, but it wasn't a race bike. In other words, if you wanted to make good time on it, this wasn't the bike you wanted to ride.
But this race you got to finish, not
Exactly.
worry about how fast you do it.
Right.
That's where the mistakes come.
Right. So when we designed it for comfort. And the first day, I know a lot of people don't believe this, but they let us, the tandems, and they call them funny bikes. The Brits like riding those trikes. They're like a tricycle, and they're fast. I mean, they've got two wheels in the back, and they haul ass. They're really
Like the recumbents.
well. It's not a recumbent. They're sitting upright. It's like a tricycle, only they're fast. So they let us go, and they let the no, wait a minute. They let the racers go at 9. That's right. The racers, because you can pick two different times. You can pick. Is it 60 hours? No. 70-hour finish or a 90-hour finish.
Okay.
And the racers usually pick the 70-hour because I think the record is like 61 hours or something.
And people want to push themselves, so they pick
Yeah.
a smaller time.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a root here.
That's all right. What do you think of the tea?
I haven't tried.
I didn't know if it was done yet or not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually I've talked too long. See, I talk too much.
I didn't know if the dill and will I leave this in here? Or I take it out?
Throw it in there. You don't want to leave it in too far long, because then it turns it too bitter. Not a very good tea instructor. Too busy talking.
Talking bicycles.
Hmm?
Talking bicycles. So you guys had somebody build the bicycle?
Mm-hmm. Borthwick. A guy in I want to say Ames, but that isn't right. Just south of Des Moines, Iowa.
Does anybody? Is it a rap? Like, where's the bike at now?
Scott has it as his house. Let's see. Borthwick is his name. What town? Oh man, south of Des Moines. So he fitted us, and it's like, I mean, it takes probably 3-4 hours to fit you for a bike.
Okay.
Set you all out, figure out where your positions are, measure everything. And of course, you got a little bit of adjustment there, but that what's amazing about that is you ever have a really comfortable pair of shoes that when you step into them, they're yours, and that's the way that bicycle is.
Okay.
When you sit on the seat, you're as comfortable of that as you are sitting right there. Seriously.
It's just
Yeah.
it's a seat you can pedal with.
Right. So, see, he built the bike. So we flew to Iowa. We were living in Lansing. And put it together, put our bags on it, and rode back.
Okay. Test out.
Huh?
From Iowa.
From Iowa. Rode it back to Michigan.
Is that as long as the race is in France?
No, that's about half the distance.
Okay. That's the first leg.
No, wait a minute, I take that back. The race in France is probably equal to go from Lansing, Michigan to the Mississippi River and back again.
Okay.
That's about what it is. But in France, everything's rolly hills like this. You're in the countryside, and every village is built on top of a hill because they put the churches there. Because they believe that the highest point, that's why you have these great big cathedrals, these huge steeples. The higher you are up in the air, the closer you are to God.
Okay.
So they put the churches on top of all these hills, and then they built the city around it. So every time you're going into a city, you're going up the hill, and every time you're leaving, you're going downhill. And that's all you do all day long is up and down, up and down, up and down.
Okay.
So anyway, we're and the guy's building a bike goes, what color do you want? And he tells a story that the color is the biggest problem. People agonize, what color do I want? Do I want, this color or that color? Do I want a blue? Do I want red? Blah, blah, blah. And Scott speaks up and he goes, can we paint it British Racing Green? And, what's his name? Borthwick was his first name. I think he's dead now. Anyway, he looks at Scott, and I said, that sounds good. And he looks at me, and he goes, that was the easiest paint pick ever had. The other day, we're sitting up here, Rollo's sitting over there, and Christy, she used to be the artist downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting there, and we're having a cup of tea. She loved coming up and having a cup of tea. But she was visiting from Baltimore, with family here. And she come up for tea, so Rollo come up and was sitting in the chair. And we got to bullshitting and talking. And he tells a story about Scott, a blind guy, picking out the color for our bike that we raced in France. And I said, well, it's British Racing Green because Scott, when he was 13 or 14, he lost his eyesight, took a glaucoma. That's when they get pressure on the nerve or something. And his father had an MG, and it was British Racing Green. He remembered that color, so it's fun.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. So
You
that's
can
how
picture it.
That's how the bike got painted that color.
Because you know that color. You can touch every bit of that bike and know where the chrome's at because you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And know where the paint's at. And know if you know that color, you know what
Mhm.
it looks like. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's cool.
And Rollo was sitting there, and he goes, "You can't make this stuff up." He goes,
You can't. Nobody would believe it.
"Yeah, I know. It's okay."
It's awesome.
So, what was that? 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
One little sign.
I know. That's what That's why I always look around in here because I know there's a lot of that. Everything has something there.
Hmm.
Yeah, this would be easy to do. Let me get the microphones. I think it's really easy to come. You can just do it like this. It doesn't take much. If we can schedule electrical work, we can schedule tea time. And then start, yeah.
I mean, you can bring your buddy over if you want.
Well, that just takes.
See, if I go to a studio and sit down and put headphones on and a mic, and I'm like, what the hell you want me to talk about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know. Here,
But like if you come in here and you point at, like the shoes up there, those black shoes. I always get asked about the shoes. What's the story behind the shoes?
okay. What is the story behind the shoes?
You always see shoes, one, laying alongside the sidewalk or the street, and I don't know about you, but I'm like, what happened? What's the story?
Why are the shoes there?
Why are those shoes there? Oh, shoe, a shoe. So, I'm doing an art show in St. James, Louisville, Kentucky, in the Old Town section. Beautiful section, beautiful spot for art show. If you can go, you should go sometime. It's amazing. And I did that show, I don't know, 12, 13 years, something like that. We haven't done it for the last, since COVID. Anyway, there's a big fountain in the middle of that, and we had my tent booth on that circle of the fountain. Good prime real estate. But the bathrooms, you had walked through the buildings and down an alley, and then across the alley was a row of kaibos, a portable toilet. There's thousands of people that come to this show every year. The only thing that brings more people into Louisville is the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
This show is huge. They stopped delivering the mail in this neighborhood because post people can't get through. I know it sounds crazy.
Okay.
I didn't believe it when I heard it until I was there. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway, sitting alongside of one of these buildings, there's an apartment door, and they got all the buttons, for 5 or 6 apartments, and those shoes are sitting on the stoop. I'm like, okay. And so I walked by him on Friday. We set up. No, Thursday night we set up. I walked by him Thursday. I walked by him Friday. I walked by him Saturday. I walked by him on Sunday, and I'm going, okay, I gotta take those shoes. That's the shoes.
There they are. Who had enough of their shoes and just left them there? Forget these things.
So we could make up any story we wanted to. We could say the girl was kidnapped, or we could say that some guy come by and he had a slipper and she took his shoes off and put those on. And we could go on and on with those.
Possibilities are endless.
Or 2 sisters got in a fight, and then one of them was complaining about her shoes or whatnot. She just took them off and sent them on the stoop, walked barefoot.
Forget this.
Huh?
And she said, forget this. That's cool.
That painting up there, that one there that looks right there,
Yeah.
that's kind of complex. I know it doesn't look like it, but my father was killed drunk driving when I was 13.
Okay.
And a few years ago, wow, actually, more than a few years ago, I got 2 pallet loads of airbags out of a car.
Okay.
Okay, the one that goes in the dash. So they're in aluminum, and they have these safety screws in them that are, I mean, almost impossible to find. To keep people from screwing with them.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm looking at them, and and they're all aluminum. And I'm like, well, what are we gonna do with these? I'm thinking, hey, we'll have some fun with this. So I take a bunch of paint from what's that house place or home place or
The Restore.
Restore. And I take one and I set it up, and I hang a piece of canvas and set it off and blow that paint everywhere. That's the paint from. Yeah. This one here was kind of an experiment. If you look at it closely, you can see that rip down the middle of it. I had the airbag or on the off to the side there.
Yeah.
See where I got it stitched up?
Yeah.
Well, I got the airbag a little too close and it broke the frame. But so I took it and sewed it up, and then I made a copper tree. And then I found a little car and I put the tree in there and put the car. And the train wreck, that come out of a shed in Arizona that had sat for so long in the heat that's just the natural way it melded. And life is kind of like a train wreck in a way, you know. And then I took a cloth measuring. If you notice, there's a cloth measuring tape wrapped all the way around it. That represents the time in our life. We either have minutes or seconds or hours or days or years or whatever, depending on what's going on.
Is the car wreck signifying your dad? So as you're creating that thing, you're just going through memories in your mind, and one kind of leads to the next.
Well, and then I find this, I find that, find a piece of this. You know what I mean?
And it just works.
I don't know if it works. It's just.
Your mind leads you there, though.
But to look at that, you'll never get any of that out of there without me doing that explanation.
Right.
You know. Then there's another one here. This one's a little more straightforward. This one's a little more about. It's a dusty. Tampa Toledo. See, my wife and I, we've ridden a tandem across Iowa 11 times.
Okay.
In fact, the funeral that we're going to tomorrow is one of the guys, a couple of them, Steve and Sharon, that used to ride with us, who ride across Iowa with us.
Okay.
And he fell down the stairs the other day and ended up with brain. But so this is like a sticker left over from Tampa Toledo. This is '95. That's in Iowa, Tampa Toledo. And when you go through these little towns that give you buttons or stickers or whatever, you know.
Pretty cool.
But I put this together, and I don't know if I can read this anymore. Trade. And this is what started this trade. So I put two of these together. What are we willing to give away? What are we willing to give away? Marbles, coins, homework. What are we willing to give away? What was once a marble, handful of sticky homework to be copied. It's now has now become a piece called well-being, a chunk of our soul, a savings account of whatever we have been gathering, and if this was. If this was not enough, what do we trade against our deepest fear of abandonment?
Is that right? We're all afraid of it.
Yeah. That's probably our biggest fear, right?
Yeah.
So, there. Yeah, what are we willing to trade?
And time's all we really have.
That's all we have. Thank you for lunch.
You're welcome. Thanks for the stories. I'm serious. I like that. And the tea.
What do you think of that?
It's good.
It's better with mesquite honey in it. This is just regular store-bought honey. Yeah, that's what she handed me.
Trousseau. Something growing inside of you. And Trousseau.
I don't know if it's growing inside of me so much. It's just at the ends where it changes the blood to the oxygen. It's just starting to get plugged up or something. I don't know.
I gotcha.
Speaking of work, we need to go back to work. Boss is gonna fire us.
Why don't we over here? I told her.